Hi, everybody, and welcome back to the basketball edition of the Huddle. I'm Ruth Lang here with sports editor Mike Brown, and we have just a few games to talk about. The holidays were on and off with the basketball games. For the girls, Marlington girls had a couple of games. They locked down Alliance last week, and they also defeated Norton by 10 points on Monday, where they led in the half at that game.
Right, yeah, the Dukes went on the road and got a good independent win. Won that game by 10 points, and they're getting good balanced scoring this year. They have 3 or 4 girls that are really doing a good job for them, and I think they're having a good season. I think they're making the kind of improvement they hoped to make at the beginning of the season when they started, Ruth. So it's a good year so far for them.
Sure. Alliance also got their first win over Sebring, and they were keeping the pressure on the Trojans.
Yeah, and that's good to see for Alliance to get that first win. Hopefully that'll lead to a second, a third win, and improvement from there. But Cynthia Talbert, the head coach of the Aviators, done a good job with them. I think a lot of things, they're trying to learn some fundamentals at the high school level, and that's tough to do. So they're trying to overcome that, and I think they've done a good job. You can see they've improved every game they've played so far this year. So hopefully that'll continue for them too.
West Branch girls had boosted their game-winning streak again, back up to 5, but Perry Panthers knocked that down just on Wednesday.
Right, yeah, and that's Perry's from the Federal League, a much bigger school, really good program. I think they've got 8 wins so far this year against Federal League competition. So I think it's a little bit of a setback for West Branch's girls because they'd won those 5 games in a row, but they were going to play a team that's like twice their enrollment, and I think down the road in the Division II tournament, I think that's going to help them. As this is a younger team, and West Branch got their 6'4" center was able to play in that game for the first time this year. She's had to set out the first 11 games because she is a transfer student. And so I think as they get used to playing with a big center in the middle, I think that's going to help them moving forward.
Sure. Louisville boys and girls both have gotten some victories during the holiday season as well. Marlington took a loss to Glen Oak yesterday.
Yeah.
They did lead in rebounds in that game. That also followed on the heels of a win to West Branch.
Right, and Marlington played really well and beat West Branch by over 20 points, and then went on the road to Glen Oak. And again, like the West Branch girls, the Marlington boys are playing a Federal League team, much bigger than their enrollment. And they played the Golden Eagles pretty tough. They lost that game in the end, but I think that's going to help them move. And Marlington's got some really good players. Begg is a tremendous shooter, probably the best scorer in the review area this winter. And I think that's going to help them moving forward in the tournaments too.
Sure. Big score for the Sebring boys, Josh Zmuda, as they played Heartland Christian on Tuesday.
Yeah, Sebring's having a very good boys basketball season. And like we said, Zmuda had 20 points on Tuesday, and they rolled past the Heartland Christian Lions on Tuesday night. And Sebring has a big game coming up this weekend. They're going to host the Lowellville Rockets Friday night, Ruth, in the Inter-Tri-County League game, and that is a huge game for them because they're trying to keep pace in the Inter-Tri-County League. They're right up there in the standings, and they've got a shot. That's a huge game for them Friday night at Sebring High School.
Sure. Alliance and West Branch boys didn't have games this week.
Right.
So we'll be looking at seeing them play this weekend, which takes us into our schedule.
Yeah, and Alliance is having a great season. Larry Kakura, head coach Larry Kakura, is doing a great job again. I think he's probably the best coach as far as the talent he's had to work with. Now, they've got good talent this year, but last year when they were a younger team, they still had a really good basketball. And I think that's a good gauge of a coach. Larry Kakura is one of the best coaches in Northeastern Ohio, and he's doing it again. Alliance is having a really good winter. They're 9-1 on the season, and they'll host West Branch on Friday night. West Branch is a younger team. Coach Randy Montgomery, one of the best coaches in Ohio, I know he'll turn that program around, but he inherited a really inexperienced team this year. So West Branch is going on the road Friday night to Alliance, and that's going to be a big challenge for West Branch. I would think Alliance would be a heavy favorite in that, Ruth. But as far as the other boys' games on Friday night, the Marlington Dukes will host the Salem Quakers. That's an NBC game. As we talked about, Sebring's hosting Lowellville in that big Inter-Tri-County League game Friday night. And also on Friday night, St. Thomas Aquinas goes on the road to Youngstown to play Youngstown Christian. Louisville will be at Canton South in an NBC game. Western Reserve will play at Mineral Ridge. United goes to Springfield Local. Waterloo is at Rootstown, and the rivalry will have Carrollton at Minerva in a big NBC game on Friday night.
Sure. Anything for the girls?
And on Saturday, we've got a full slate of girls action. In fact, we actually have some games tonight. A big area game tonight on Thursday night. We'll find Alliance going to St. Thomas Aquinas. Also tonight, the Sebring girls will go to Lowville, play the Rockets. Springfield locals at United Local, and Mineral Ridge is at Western Reserve. Then on Saturday, we have a full slate of girls basketball action. We'll have Canton South playing at Alliance. Carrollton goes to Marlington. West Branch will be at Minerva in an area NBC showdown. Ritztown goes to Waterloo. Louisville is at Salem. Beaver Local goes to United. Villa Angela St. Joseph will be at St. Thomas Aquinas. And Western Reserve goes to Lordstown to play the Red Devils. And that's our slate for this weekend.
Mm-hmm. We'll be there with coverage for you for the web and also in print. So until next week, we'll see you on the court.